Okay, we're on to the body, and you'll notice that I built this holder for the body out of some scraps of wood, put in a few screws here into the pocket area where it wouldn't cause any problems, and then I've got a hanging apparatus here, just a rope, some eyelets. What I've done so far is I've cleaned the entire body with mineral spirits, and I'm going to use some oil-based stains by Rust-Oleum. There's this cool blue that I found, Vintage Aqua. I decided to use stains because oil-based stains, just because I'm going to use a rub-off polyurethane, and so I decided to also use these products because they were readily available at the local hardware store. I don't have to specially order anything. A lot of times when I try to get things sent to Hawaii, there's always something that holds it up because of flammable products, etc., etc. So I just bought some things that I can just get readily here available in Hilo at the hardware store. The first thing I'm going to do after cleaning this body off is I'm going to use this pre-stain wood conditioner by Rust-Oleum, and that's what I'm going to do now. That way the stain will go in evenly. I did notice that even though this is alder, that there were areas that when I was cleaning I could see that the mineral spirits was soaking in more than others. So this should give this staining process a good overall stain without blotching us. At least that's what we're hoping for. So I've got the pre-stain conditioner. It says to mix it up really well, which I did. And then it says to brush it on or wipe it on, and then across the grain, and then it says to wipe it off while it's still wet, and then let it soak for 30 minutes at least. So that's what I'm going to do now. Okay, so let's start by applying this conditioner across the grain. Also, one thing I want to say is I did tape up the pocket for the neck. Alright, so I have a good coat on here. I'm going to wipe this. It says to wipe it down before it dries. That's what I'm going to do. And then I've also cut some one of those floater noodles to create a little bit of a standoff here. I'm just stuffing these into the routed holes. That'll just give me a little bit of a standoff here while I'm working. All right. And now I'm going to wipe this all down. And we're going to give it 30 minutes or more to let that sink in. I'm going to give this a quick, very light sanding. Give it a wipe. And then let's try out this blue wood stain, which I have been shaking up, and we'll stir this up a little bit. Okay, I have no idea how this is going to look, so we're going to try this out. But I've always wanted a blue guitar, or part blue guitar. The pigments all coming to all of the top. Okay, and the directions say to brush it on and then wipe it. All right. Here we go. We'll do the top first. Interesting color. And it says that you want to let this soak in for 3 minutes at least. The directions are to rub this with the grain. So get this all on, let it set. And we'll wrap it around the edges. Let's go ahead and start wiping that down. All right, let's let that dry for a little bit. And then let's try another coat in a moment. The name of this stain is Vintage Aqua. Okay, let's see how this wipes up. I'm liking this. Okay, let's give this one more coat on the back. And a little more on the sides. And then I think we're done for now. Put it up to dry and then see how it looks. So I've let this dry overnight, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take some 220 and 320 grit sandpaper, and I'm going to start removing some of this blue to let more of the grain show through, and then when I clean that all up, then I'm going to apply the wipe-on polyurethane finish. So this is what we're at now. And I'm going to go ahead and start sanding, and I'll show you what it looks like after I do that. And so let's get started. I have vacuumed, and I have brought out new paper, and I'm going to use a tack cloth and just carefully rub so I don't get the wax or anything from the tack cloth. I'm just going to do this very lightly. Alright, now I'm going to start wiping this down with mineral spirits, and we'll remove any dust and other particles. That's going to look good. And I'm kind of going for some of this unevenness. This is ready for the finish. Alright, we're going to apply the wipe-on poly, and we're going to just do a nice light coat at first. And you just rub it on, and you'll notice that I've put a screw down into the strap hole so that I can balance this and apply. Right? So we'll just get ready and start wiping this on. get in the cavity so we don't have bare wood in there, because I am going to be shielding the inside with some copper foil. It has been a couple of hours. This is dry to the touch now, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a little bit of mineral spirits and a 1500 grit wet and dry paper, and I am going to just go over this and lightly sand and smooth out the first coat, and then I'm going to apply a second coat. And now I'm going to wipe on another coat of the polyurethane. Alright, I've been letting this dry for 2 days. That's how long it's taken. And I've decided that for my last coats of polyurethane, I'm going to be using a spray. Mainly because with the system that I have right now, I'm not getting the even finish that I want with the wipe-on method. If I had something perfectly flat and I had a way to move this around easily and have it clamped in, then it's possible I might be able to get something better. But that's not happening on this project. You are experiencing what I'm experiencing as I move along with it. What I am going to do now is I'm going to use some mineral spirits, and I've got 320 and 220 sandpaper. I'm going to sand this down and get it ready, and I'm going to spray with this oil-based Varathane, and it says it's only going to take 4 hours. So I'm hoping to get 2 more coats in today, and we'll see how it looks. And maybe I can get this this body completed like in another couple of days, and then complete the rest of the build. So what I'll do now is I'll lay this flat. By the way, if I do this again, if I do more guitars, I'm definitely going to get that holder that they have on StewMac. Okay, so here we go. So I'm going to sand all of this smooth and try not to take too much off. But I want to get this nice and smooth, and then I'm going to wipe it all off, clean it up, and then I'm going to take it outside and I'm going to spray the can of Varathane. I sprayed 2 good coats of the polyurethane yesterday, and it's looking really good, except in trying to get used to the spray can, I did get a couple runs that I need to sand out, so I'm going to do that now. And then there's a few blemishes, lint, things, or dust or whatever, but that can all be smoothed out, and then we'll do 1 or 2 more coats, and then we'll get into polishing this body, but it's turning out pretty good. I like the color, I like the effect. There we go. I'm about finished with the sanding. Gonna get ready to spray on, hopefully, the final coats. And now I'm going to give this a really good wipe with mineral spirits and a rag and get it ready for spraying. Well, this is what we have. I sprayed about 5 more coats of this spray-on polyurethane. Now I have 1500 and 2000 grit sandpaper that I am going to very lightly go over the surface with. And I have rubbing compound and polishing compound and carnauba wax and a sonic polishing unit. And hopefully that will take out all the blemishes, and then I can wax it up, and then we'll be ready for assembly. The neck is ready. As soon as I get this all buffed out, the polyurethane has been curing for 2 days, so it should be good to go. But let's take a look at the finish right now. It's kind of hard to tell. I got some glare there, but there is a little bit of orange skin going on, and there's little bits of stuff that got into the finish, but it looks pretty good all in all. But now I'm going to go in and do the finish work. Okay, now we're going to use the rubbing compound. I've got a heavy duty cleaner right now. Okay, now we're going to go in with the polishing compound. Now it's time for the carnauba wax. I've got this sonic waxer here, so I'll put some of that on, and here we go. And this is vibrating, so I'm hoping that this does a good job. I've never used anything like this. But boy, after this, I'm really going to be thinking about getting an orbital sander and polisher. Looking pretty good. the body is finished, the neck is finished, so it's time to start assembling this kit. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use copper tape and start shielding the cavities where the pickups and the controls are. Next, we're going to temporarily install the bridge, which is going to help us line up the neck. So I'm just going to put in a couple of screws here. I'm going to install the string ferrules. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to use a dowel. And I'm going to use that to protect the ferrule. And I'll go ahead and hammer this in. And we'll just go through, do the rest. Alright, the instructions show how to line up the neck properly and drill the holes for the neck. So they say take a string and insert through the E holes, which I will do. I'm using a big needle to do this with, so I can get the thread to go through. There we go. Okay, the next step is to using a clamp and make sure to protect the neck. Put the neck into the neck pocket. And then tie the ends off on the high E tuning pegs, and I'll do that in a moment, but this is how they say to mark the neck. But I'll tell you, I think that the instructions might have been made for the basic kit, because this neck had to have been cut for this pocket. There's absolutely no play in this neck and pocket. But I'll go ahead and do this anyway. I'll show you that in a moment, just to check and make sure everything is lined up. Once we do that, then I'm going to use an 1/8 inch drill bit to go through the holes that are already drilled, and then mark where to drill, and then attach the neck. Once this is all set up, I'm going to finger spin this 1/8 inch drill bit and mark the neck, and then I'm going to carefully drill in and then get ready to attach the neck. So let's go ahead and set this string up and see how it looks. Okay, so I wrapped my clamp in foam and very gently clamped the neck onto the body. There's just no play though in the neck, so I got a feeling that these instructions were made for the other kit. I think that these Wilkinson kits, or maybe in the last couple of years, the CNC milling at the factory has gotten so good, but there was just no play at all in the neck pocket. And I'm going to show you in a moment that I did, string it up, and you're going to see that the neck is just perfectly straight right from the factory. I didn't have to do anything. I just put the neck in, but I'm following the instructions just to make sure. So I'll go in for a tighter shot here. Let's take a look at it from the other side. The net, I made sure was right in the center. And then if we take a look, we can see that that neck is perfectly straight in the neck pocket. And I didn't have to do anything. But it's good to check. Okay, I'm going to mark the holes now. Maybe just give this a light tap. And we'll take the strings off. The instructions said to enlarge the screws in the body for the neck using a 11/64 drill bit. They need to be a little bit larger, and they say the screws need to pass through the body unhindered, and this is essential in order to facilitate a truly tight neck to body joint. So that's what I'm going to do now, is enlarge the existing holes. They said that the smaller holes were essential for making sure that everything was lined up perfectly. Notice that I'm using my antique Craftsman drill. I've marked out the holes and I'm ready to drill. The instructions call for an 1/8 inch bit and to drill down 11/16. So I've taped that off on my drill bit. I do not have a drill press, and nobody in town has any drill guides. So I'm going to try to use this laser disc trick where you drill and you look at the reflection and just make sure that it's straight up and down and that the reflection isn't breaking. Okay, let's put the neck together. These go through very easily. Now we're getting to the neck.